He laughed in her face, right there in front of everyone. "Cook for me and I'll marry you," the millionaire CEO said, his voice dripping with arrogance. The kitchen froze, cameras flashed, his friends roared with laughter. "And the poor chef," he mocked. She just wiped her hands, looked him in the eye and whispered, "Be careful what you promise, because I always finish what I start." No one knew who she really was. No one knew the secret she carried, one that could destroy his empire or save his soul. Before we begin this emotional story, tell us in the comments from which city you are watching, and don't forget to leave your like to keep following us. The kitchen was chaos. Knives clattering, pans hissing, the sharp scent of seared garlic and burnt pride hanging in the air. Olivia's hands trembled as she balanced a tray of porcelain plates, each one carrying a fragment of her dream. She was only a sous chef, but tonight her creation was being served to the restaurant's most important guest, the millionaire CEO who owned half of New York's skyline. Jack Monroe leaned against the counter, his sleeves rolled up, that smirk of careless arrogance fixed on his face. "You really think this is what fine dining looks like?" he asked, lifting a forkful from her dish. The entire kitchen went silent. Even the simmering pots seemed to hold their breath. Olivia's voice was quiet, steady despite the heat burning her cheeks. "It's my interpretation of rustic truffle risotto, simple but honest." Jack chewed slowly, watching her the whole time. Then he laughed, low, dismissive, cutting through the hum of the kitchen like a blade. "Simple and honest don't win Michelin stars, sweetheart. Maybe you should stick to cooking for someone's anniversary dinner, not for people who actually matter." A few of the line cooks exchanged nervous glances. Olivia stood still, eyes locked on him. Inside, something twisted. Humiliation, yes, but beneath it, defiance. She took a step closer, wiping her hands on her apron. "With respect, Mr. Monroe, flavor doesn't care how rich someone is." He tilted his head, intrigued by her nerve. "Oh, you've got fire, I like that." Then, leaning closer so only she could hear, he whispered, "Cook for me tomorrow. One dish. Something that proves you deserve to be in my kitchen. If you impress me." His lips curled into a lazy grin. "Maybe I'll marry you." Laughter rippled through the kitchen, not from him, but from the others, unsure whether he was joking. Olivia froze, her eyes flashing between hurt and disbelief. She forced herself to meet his gaze. "And if I don't? Then you'll pack your knives and go back to cooking at weddings. Deal?" Her heart pounded, but she didn't look away. "Deal." Jack smiled, satisfied, before turning to leave. "Tomorrow, at noon." "Surprise me, chef?" As he disappeared through the swinging doors, Olivia stood alone in the heat of the kitchen, surrounded by the scent of garlic and laughter that still stung. Her reflection in the stainless steel counter looked different now. Sharper, colder. She whispered to herself, "He'll regret every word." The timer beeped somewhere behind her, snapping her back to work. But her mind was already racing, not about the dish she'd cook tomorrow, but about the secret ingredient he didn't know she carried. The truth. Dawn bled into the city like a slow bruise, and Olivia moved through the Union Square Green Market with a chef's quiet urgency. She tested peaches with her thumb, listened for the papery whisper of good corn, and chose a bundle of basil so fragrant it imposed silence. The air was wet with mist and coffee steam. Delivery trucks hissed, brakes squealing like gulls. She didn't look like someone about to dare a millionaire CEO. She looked like a woman building a cathedral out of flavor, stone by stone before noon. A woman in a hotel uniform, skirt wrinkled, hands raw from bleach, stood near the bins of tomatoes, counting coins. Olivia caught the flash of a name tag, Maria, housekeeping. Her mother had worn the same weary shine, a cleaning lady whose wrists ached each night from folding strangers' sheets. Olivia bought 2 extra tomatoes and slipped one into Maria's bag, with a smile that asked for nothing. In her chest, an ember kindled. This dish wouldn't beg to be admired. It would refuse to apologize. Revenge, she decided, could be tender. On the subway back to Chelsea, she held the paper bag like a newborn. A homeless woman slept across 3 seats, curls matted against the window, mouth parted in small, stubborn dreams. The car rattled through darkness, and Olivia studied the woman's bare ankles, blue with cold even in August. Memory rose uninvited. A December night, the radiator in her studio clicking like teeth, her mother whispering, "Hold my hand, Liv. We'll keep each other warm." She had been a single mother by then. Olivia never corrected strangers who assumed otherwise. Some facts belonged to locked drawers. "Tell me you're not actually doing it," Sarah said over speaker when Olivia stepped into her apartment. The place was small and clean and mostly stainless steel, a lab more than a home. "Jack Monroe is a headline waiting to happen. He's a storm with a tux." "He's a pallet with a boardroom," Olivia answered, washing basil, laying peaches to dry on a towel. "And I'm done letting men who collect buildings tell me Flavor must wear a tie." Sarah blew a long breath. "If he's joking, walk away. And if he's not, if Cook for me and I'll marry you turns into some twisted contract marriage stunt, run faster." Olivia smiled without humor. If he thinks this is a game, he won't like losing. By 11:30, she was in the restaurant's test kitchen, where steel and white tile met like a grid of commandments. She worked in choreography. Corn shaved into a pale snowfall, peaches kissed by the grill to release whispers of smoke, basil pounded with almonds until the room smelled like July. In the pan, shallots sweated, butter murmured, stock sighed. She didn't chase perfection. She chased a memory of sunlight on a formica table, her mother eating slowly so Olivia could take seconds. This dish would be a letter to the people who only matter when they disappear. The door swung. Jack strolled in with a lawyerish man in a navy suit and the easy entitlement of someone who never has to explain why he's late. "Chef," Jack said, as if the title were his to bestow. He set a folder on the counter, amused. "Before you thrill me, a little prank." He slid a sheet of paper toward her, a mock proposal written like a deal memo. Terms, conditions, signature lines. He tapped the footer. "Prenup clause already drafted. Our legal mascot insisted." The lawyer didn't laugh. Olivia's spoon hovered, trembling, then went still. She looked from the paper to Jack and saw the boy he had never been forced to outgrow. "Cute," she said. "You brought a contract to a kitchen like it's a boardroom. I brought summer." She plated with deliberate grace. A sweep of corn puree, grilled peach halves like sunset commas, torn basil, shards of almond brittle for crunch, and at the center, a poached egg that quivered like a secret. Jack leaned in despite himself. Steam rose. The room smelled like porch lights and open windows. "Eat," Olivia said, and then, calm as a tide, pulling back, "And afterward we'll talk about your mother." Jack's smirk faltered. The lawyer blinked. What happened next shocked everyone, though none more than Jack, as Olivia reached into her knife roll, not for steel but for a creased photograph, and laid it face down beside his plate. Jack stared at the photograph, his jaw tightening. For the first time that morning, he looked uncertain. The lawyer shifted uncomfortably, clearly sensing that this was no longer about food. Olivia said nothing. Her silence carried weight, like the pause before thunder. "Go on," she murmured, eyes steady. "Eat first, then turn it over." He picked up the fork, his composure barely intact. The first bite caught him off guard. The sweetness of peach melted into the salt of buttered corn, basil blooming between breaths. It wasn't just flavor, it was memory disguised as taste. He chewed slower, eyes flickering as if something inside him had cracked. "This is..." He stopped himself, straightened his back. "It's fine, balanced." Olivia tilted her head. "Just fine?" He avoided her gaze, pretending to study the plating instead. "You proved your point. You can cook. Now what's this?" He flipped the photo. For a second, no one breathed. The lawyer's eyes widened, then dropped to the floor. In the picture, a young woman smiled in a maid's uniform, standing beside a teenage Olivia in a greasy diner kitchen. Behind them, a chalkboard read, "Monroe Estate Staff Christmas Party, 2004. Jack blinked. "Where did you get this?" "My mother kept it," Olivia said quietly, "before she died." He froze. Your mother worked for us. She was your housekeeper. For 3 years. Until she was fired for breaking a vase your father dropped during one of his arguments." Olivia's voice sharpened, cutting through the thick air. "She begged for her paycheck. They told her it was deducted from her damage. We lost everything after that." The words hung between them, heavy with unspoken histories. Jack's face went pale. I didn't know. I was 17, she interrupted. Old enough to remember the woman who made you breakfast. Old enough to notice her limp from mopping marble floors that weren't hers. He looked down, hands trembling slightly. The arrogance that once filled the room now shrank into something smaller. Guilt, maybe. But Olivia wasn't finished. She used to say your mother was kind, she continued softly, that she'd leave flowers on the counter for the staff when she could. That's the only reason I agreed to work for your restaurant. I wanted to see if there was any of her left in you. Jack rubbed a hand over his face, exhaling a slow, fractured breath. So this whole challenge wasn't for your ego, Olivia said. It was for her, for the woman who never stopped believing that kindness could survive in a family that traded everything for glass towers. The lawyer quietly excused himself, closing the door behind him. The sound echoed like a gavel. Jack stared at the photo again, his voice low. Why didn't you just tell me? Because men like you don't listen until the truth tastes like shame, she said. Silence filled the room again. Thick, uncomfortable, electric. The kind that bends people toward change. Olivia turned away, washing her hands slowly, the sound of running water slicing through the tension. Now, she said without looking at him, do you still think you'd marry me if I cooked for you? Jack's voice came out hoarse. I don't know what I think anymore. Good, she said, drying her hands. It's about time. He looked at her reflection in the steel counter, searching for something, mercy maybe, but all he found was the calm of a woman who had already decided what came next. Outside, thunder rolled above Manhattan, distant but closing in. Rain began to tap against the restaurant's tall windows, faint at first, then steadier, like a heartbeat growing louder. Olivia gathered her knives, each one sliding into its leather sheath with a quiet finality. Jack still sat at the counter, the photograph between his fingers, turning it over again and again, as if the paper itself could rewrite his past. Why didn't I remember her? He said finally, voice softer than she'd ever heard it. I remember the smell of her cooking. She made apple pie for my birthdays. She sang while cleaning. How could I forget that? Olivia didn't answer. She was busy cleaning her station the way her mother taught her, every surface spotless, every utensil respected. Forgetting is easy when the world keeps giving you more, she said after a long pause. Money, comfort, distance. They erase guilt better than time ever could. Jack swallowed hard. I was a stupid kid. My father wasn't the one who mocked me yesterday, she cut in. Her tone wasn't sharp, just exhausted. You were. He closed his eyes. You're right. The admission surprised her. Simple, unguarded. She looked at him, really looked at him this time. The arrogant CEO seemed smaller now, stripped of his certainty, sitting under the humming fluorescent light like a man realizing his empire had cracks. She set down the towel. You have a choice now. Walk out, forget this ever happened, or stay and do something your father never did. Listen. Jack leaned forward. I'm listening. Olivia hesitated, her fingers curling around the edge of the counter. I want you to meet someone, she said finally. Her name's Rosa. She cleans this kitchen after hours. She works 2 jobs, sleeps 3 hours a night, and still manages to send her son to school. I promised her a raise last week. You cancelled it. He blinked. What? I submitted the payroll request. You marked it denied. He flinched as if struck. It must have been automatic. My HR... Stop. Olivia's voice carried a quiet force. It doesn't matter whose pen signed it. The decision was yours, whether you saw it or not. Jack stared at her, the truth settling heavy in his chest. You want me to fix it? No, she said. I want you to see it. See her. Tonight. He hesitated, glancing toward the storm outside. Now? Yes. She'll be here in an hour. The kitchen fell silent again. Only the rhythmic drip of rain filled the space between them. Olivia began prepping another dish, not to impress, but to fill the air with purpose. Garlic hit hot oil, releasing its sharp confession. Jack watched her work, something shifting behind his eyes. It wasn't attraction this time, it was reckoning. I'll stay, he said finally. Olivia nodded once without turning. Good. Maybe for once you'll learn what it means to earn a meal. Lightning flashed across the glass, cutting the room into halves, privilege and humility, power and grace, and somewhere between them, the faintest beginning of redemption. Outside, the rain began to fall harder. Inside, the truth simmered, waiting to boil over. By the time Rosa arrived, the city had already drowned itself in silver rain. She stepped through the back door with a tired smile, and shoes soaked through, her mop slung like a weapon of survival. Olivia greeted her with a nod, wordless but warm, while Jack stood awkwardly by the prep table, sleeves rolled, hands shoved into his pockets, a man out of his element for the first time in his life. "Senor Monroe," Rosa said softly, recognizing him instantly. "I clean your office sometimes. Didn't expect you here tonight." Jack cleared his throat. "Neither did I." She laughed, not unkindly. "Then maybe tonight is special." She moved past him, humming a tune that sounded like sunlight breaking through clouds, even in this storm. Olivia watched Jack's expression shift, confusion at first, then something else. Guilt had texture now, it clung to the air. Olivia handed Rosa a small container. "Try this, peach risotto." Rosa's eyes widened. "For me?" Olivia smiled faintly. "For you." Rosa took a bite, closing her eyes, savoring. "Reminds me of my daughter's birthday cake," she whispered. Simple, sweet, a little sad. Jack turned away, swallowing hard. Olivia caught it, the flicker of shame, maybe empathy, maybe the first seed of something better. When Rosa went to clean the back storage, Olivia spoke, low but firm. "You see her now?" Jack nodded slowly. "I do." "Good," she said. "Because people like her built everything you own, and you never once looked down long enough to thank them." He didn't argue. The storm outside howled louder, pressing its reflection against the glass, thunder against privilege. Finally he said, "You hate me." Olivia shook her head. "If I hated you, I wouldn't have cooked for you. Hate is easy. What I feel is heavier." Jack hesitated. "What do you want from me, Olivia?" She wiped her hands on a towel, then faced him. "Not money, not pity. Just truth. Truth. That your world isn't built on genius, Jack. It's built on women like my mother, like Rosa, like me." For a long time, neither spoke. The clock ticked in uneven beats like a pulse under pressure. Then quietly, Jack said, "You said your mother died. When?" 2 years ago." Her voice caught slightly, like a violin string too tight. "Cancer. She cleaned houses until the week before she couldn't walk anymore. I was still trying to prove myself in kitchens that didn't even remember her name." Jack's gaze softened. "I'm sorry." Olivia looked at him, really looked, and saw something shift in his face. The arrogance had drained away, replaced by a quiet awareness. "Don't say sorry. Do something with it." He exhaled, glancing at the photo still lying on the counter. "Maybe I can." A faint smile ghosted across her lips. "Then prove it." Rosa reappeared, mop in hand. "Senor Monroe, you're dripping rain on my clean floor." He blinked, realizing he'd tracked in water from the door. "Oh, I'm sorry." He grabbed a towel and bent to wipe it himself. Olivia froze. So did Rosa. For the first time in his life, Jack Monroe knelt on a wet floor, and it wasn't for show. The room fell silent, the storm still whispering against the glass. Olivia didn't speak. She didn't need to. He looked up at her from the floor, eyes steady. "Teach me," he said simply. "Not to cook, to see." Her throat tightened. "Then don't blink." Lightning cracked above them, painting everything in white for a single blinding heartbeat. The next morning, sunlight poured into the restaurant as if the storm had never existed. The air smelled of rain-soaked streets and fresh beginnings, though neither of them dared to call it that. Jack had been there all night, sleeves rolled, shirt damp with effort, cleaning counters beside Rosa until her shift ended at dawn. Olivia had watched from a distance, quietly stirring her coffee, measuring not his actions but his sincerity. When Rosa left, she hugged Olivia and, to Jack's surprise, touched his arm. "You have good hands," she said gently. "They finally learned how to work." Then she disappeared into the morning light, leaving behind a silence that felt earned. Jack looked at Olivia. "So, what now?" "You tell me," she replied. He ran a hand through his hair, eyes tired but awake in a way she hadn't seen before. I could start by raising wages, giving staff healthcare, making sure people like Rosa don't have to sleep on buses to make a living. Olivia nodded, almost smiling. Words are easy, Jack. He leaned forward. Then I'll start with actions. She studied him for a moment, cautious, uncertain whether the man who once mocked her was capable of change. You really think fixing paychecks redeems everything? No, he admitted, but maybe it's a start. She turned to the stove, the sound of oil sizzling filling the space between them. My mother used to say redemption's like bread dough. You can't rush the rise. Jack smiled faintly. She sounds wiser than most CEOs I know. She was, Olivia said, not looking at him. She just never had the chance to prove it. The sound of the city outside began to swell. Traffic, footsteps, voices climbing toward the day. Jack reached for the photograph again, now smudged with fingerprints, and set it upright against a glass jar of wooden spoons. She should stay here, he said softly, in this kitchen, as a reminder. Olivia froze mid-stir. Why? Because this place doesn't belong to me anymore. It belongs to people like her, and you. Her lips parted, but no words came. He looked different in the morning light, still powerful but stripped of armor. There was no smugness, only humility, raw and uncertain. Yesterday, I told you to cook for me, he said. Today, I'd rather cook for you. Olivia turned to face him, arms crossed. You can't just flip the story because you feel guilty. He nodded slowly. Maybe not, but I can learn to serve something other than myself. Her gaze softened, though she fought to keep her tone sharp. Fine, but if you burn the pan, I'm firing you. He laughed, quietly, sincerely, the kind of laugh that comes from a man rediscovering his own humanity. Deal. They cooked side by side, not teacher and student, not millionaire and maid's daughter, just two people trying to rebuild something fragile. Jack fumbled the first few steps, nearly ruining the eggs, and Olivia's laughter slipped out before she could stop it. There, she said, nudging his shoulder. Now you're human. He grinned. Took long enough? The kitchen filled with warmth that had nothing to do with the stove, but as she watched him, something uneasy stirred in Olivia's chest. Change was never that easy, and deep down, she knew that power rarely surrenders without demanding something in return. When Jack reached for the salt, his sleeve lifted, revealing the edge of a contract folded neatly in his pocket. Her smile faded. What's that? He froze, realizing she'd seen it. It's nothing. Olivia's voice cooled. You brought another contract? Jack's jaw tightened. It's not what you think. Then show me. He hesitated. Outside, horns blared. Inside, the sunlight suddenly felt too sharp. Jack unfolded the paper slowly, the crisp sound slicing through the air like a confession. Olivia's pulse quickened. The morning light gleamed off the counter, catching the tremor in his hands. He placed the document between them. It's not a business contract, he said quietly. Olivia frowned, scanning the heading. Her breath caught. Foundation Proposal. The Maria Lincoln Initiative. Beneath the title, her mother's name stared back at her in elegant serif font. What is this? She whispered. Jack took a breath. It's a plan to create scholarships for single mothers in the culinary field, to fund kitchens for women who can't afford formal training, to give people like your mum, like Rosa, a chance to build something that's theirs. Olivia stared at him, half believing, half terrified to hope. You did this overnight? I didn't sleep, he said. I called my lawyers, my board. Some of them think I've lost my mind. Her voice hardened. Maybe you're trying to buy forgiveness. Jack shook his head. No, I'm trying to earn my humanity back. The honesty in his tone disarmed her more than the proposal itself. Still, she crossed her arms, keeping her distance. You think a foundation can fix what your family destroyed? No, he said simply. But maybe it can feed someone who'd otherwise go hungry. Maybe it can remind me that the world doesn't end at my penthouse door. Olivia's throat tightened. She traced her mother's name on the page, her finger trembling slightly. You even used her maiden name. How did you? I found it in the photo, he interrupted softly. It was written on the back. The weight of that small detail hit her harder than she expected. He'd noticed. He'd cared enough to notice. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The city hummed beyond the glass, a muted soundtrack to the fragile moment unfolding in the kitchen. Finally, Olivia asked, "What do you expect from me in return?" Jack's gaze met hers. "Nothing, except your approval to use her name." She hesitated. "You didn't need my permission." "Yes, I did," he said, "because this isn't my story. It's yours." Something in her chest shifted, an ache, softening into something almost gentle. "You don't even know what forgiveness looks like yet." Jack smiled faintly. "Then maybe you can teach me that too." She studied him for a moment, searching for insincerity, for any trace of the arrogant man who had mocked her days ago. There was none, just sincerity, awkward and raw. She folded the paper carefully. "If you do this, Jack, if you really mean it, don't make it about guilt. Make it about legacy." "Her legacy," he said. Olivia nodded. "And yours, if you can carry it with grace." The words hung between them, gentle but firm. Then she turned back to the stove, lit the flame again, and said softly, "Breakfast's on me today." Jack raised an eyebrow. "Should I be afraid?" She glanced at him, a small smile playing at her lips. "Terrified." He laughed quietly, the sound blending with the sizzle of butter and eggs. But deep inside, Olivia felt something she hadn't in years, a cautious spark of peace. And yet, in the quiet corners of her heart, a question still echoed. Can a man truly change? Or is remorse just another mask the powerful learn to wear? The answer, she knew, would reveal itself soon enough. Outside, the sky brightened, and with it, so did something neither of them could yet name. The following week, Olivia stood before the polished glass doors of Monroe Tower, the same building her mother once entered through the back, carrying cleaning supplies instead of confidence. Now Olivia was the one being escorted upstairs, her chef's jacket crisp, her hair pulled tight, a steady fire behind her calm expression. Jack had invited her to witness the board meeting where the Maria Lincoln Foundation would be officially proposed. She almost hadn't come, but something, perhaps her mother's ghost or her own unfinished anger, had pushed her to say yes. Inside the boardroom, everything gleamed. Marble table, leather chairs, skyline sprawling behind them like a silent audience. A dozen executives waited, suits pristine, expressions skeptical. Jack stood at the head of the table. Gone was the careless smirk. He wore humility like a new suit, still stiff at the edges. "Before we begin," he said, "I'd like to introduce someone who taught me what leadership actually means." He gestured toward Olivia. The room turned. Olivia met their gaze without flinching. "This is Chef Olivia Lincoln," Jack continued. "Her late mother, Maria Lincoln, worked for my family years ago. She was dismissed unfairly, a wrong my family never corrected. Today, I want to begin making that right." A murmur rippled through the room. One man, grey-haired and sharp-eyed, leaned back. "Jack, are we here for a charity pitch or a confession?" Jack didn't waver. "Both, if that's what it takes." Laughter, polite but cutting. Olivia could feel the old arrogance of power seeping through the cracks. She crossed her arms, her voice clear. "You think charity is weakness," she said, addressing them directly. "But the real weakness is pretending your success was built alone." The room went still. Jack looked at her, surprised and then proud. Olivia stepped forward, placing a folder on the table. Inside were photos of kitchen apprentices, young women, single mothers, immigrants, who trained under her mentorship at the small community center where she sometimes volunteered. "These women don't need your pity," she said. "They need opportunity. They already know how to work hard. They just need someone to stop moving the finish line every time they get close." A few board members exchanged glances. One woman at the end of the table, mid-40s, nodded subtly. Jack took over, his tone firm. "This foundation will be fully funded by Monroe Holdings. No investors, no profit. A board seat will go to Chef Lincoln if she'll accept it." Olivia's breath caught. "Excuse me?" He turned to her. "You heard me. You built this. You should lead it." The older man scoffed. "You're giving a chef a board seat." Jack smiled faintly. "No, I'm giving integrity a chair at the table." The silence that followed was almost reverent. Even the city beyond the windows seemed to pause. Finally, the woman who'd nodded earlier spoke. "I vote yes." One by one, the others followed, Some reluctantly, some thoughtfully, until only the skeptic remained. He sighed, shrugged, and muttered, "Fine, let's see if this fairy tale can cook." Jack signed the approval form, the pen trembling slightly in his hand. "It can," he said, "because it already has." Olivia exhaled, the weight of years lifting, just enough to let light in. As the meeting ended, Jack walked beside her toward the elevator. "You didn't have to defend me in there," he said quietly. "I wasn't defending you," she replied. "I was defending my mother." He smiled softly. "Then I'm honored to stand beside her." They stepped into the elevator, the doors closing with a sigh. For the first time, Olivia didn't see a CEO beside her. She saw a man trying to be better, and maybe, just maybe, succeeding. Still, as the elevator descended, she couldn't ignore a strange heaviness forming in her chest, the sense that something was still unsaid, unfinished. Redemption, she realized, always came with one last test, and it was waiting for both of them below. The lobby was quieter than usual when the elevator doors opened, too quiet for a building that usually pulsed with money and motion. Outside, the city hummed, but inside, it was as if the marble itself held its breath. Jack and Olivia stepped out side by side. Near the reception desk, a young woman in a navy blazer waited, a folder clutched to her chest and anxiety written all over her face. "Mr. Monroe," she said quickly, "you should see this. It's urgent." Jack frowned, taking the folder. He flipped it open, scanning the first page, then froze. Olivia saw his expression change, confusion sliding into disbelief. "What is it?" He handed her the papers. "An anonymous letter. Someone leaked internal documents, payroll records, contractor lists, off-the-books expenses. They're claiming my company's been underpaying cleaning staff for years." Olivia's jaw tightened. "Is it true?" Jack hesitated. "It might be. Some of those contracts were inherited from old subsidiaries. I never looked," she finished for him. He nodded, guilt flooding his face. "It's everything I've been trying to fix." Before either could say more, a cluster of reporters burst through the glass doors, cameras flashing, voices echoing across the lobby. "Jack Monroe, is it true you exploited immigrant workers? Is your new foundation just a PR stunt?" Security moved fast, but not fast enough. The chaos swallowed them. Olivia stepped back, the flashes reflecting off the polished floor like lightning. One microphone caught her near the elevator. "Chef Lincoln, are you part of this scheme too?" The question stung. "I'm part of the truth," she said sharply, and pushed past them. Jack followed, shouting over the noise. "Olivia, wait!" They escaped into the rain-slick street, breathless. The storm had returned, darker this time, the city glittering under its weight. She turned to him, furious. "Do you realize what this means? Everything you just built, it's burning before it even began." "I can fix it," he said, voice breaking. "I'll face the press. I'll pay every cent owed." "No," she interrupted. "You can't fix something by writing checks, Jack. You have to own it. Every piece of it." He stared at her, the rain drenching his suit, the city howling around them. "Then tell me what to do." Olivia took a step closer, her eyes fierce beneath the rain. "Tell the truth. Not to your lawyers, not to your shareholders, to the people who scrub your floors, to the ones you've never seen." He looked down, water dripping from his lashes. "And if they hate me, then maybe you'll finally understand what the rest of us have lived with." The words cut deep, but she didn't soften them. Jack's phone buzzed, his assistant again, the board demanding a statement. "They want me to deny everything," he said, staring at the screen. "Then they're not the ones you should be working for," she said. He pocketed the phone. "And you? Are you going to walk away now?" Olivia hesitated. The easy answer was yes, but something in his eyes stopped her, not desperation but conviction trembling on the edge of collapse. "No," she said finally. "I'm not walking away, but I won't stand beside another liar." Jack met her gaze. "Then I won't be one." Lightning split the sky above them, bright and merciless. "Tomorrow," he said, "I'll hold a press conference. I'll confess everything. No lawyers, no script." Olivia's heart pounded. "You'll destroy yourself." He nodded slowly. "Maybe that's what's needed." She stared at him, at the soaked shirt clinging to his chest, at the man stripped bare of all his power. and realized this was the first time he'd ever looked free. Rain poured harder. Somewhere behind them, the lights of Monroe Tower flickered, fragile and human, as if the building itself was bracing for truth. The next morning, the city woke to a storm and a scandal. Every news outlet in New York ran the headline, "Millionaire CEO admits exploiting workers. Public confession at noon." Cameras lined the marble steps of Monroe Tower like vultures waiting for something sacred to die. Inside, Jack stood alone in the boardroom. The city sprawled behind him like judgment itself. His reflection in the window looked unfamiliar, tired, human, stripped of everything that had once made him untouchable. He'd spent the night drafting his speech, not with lawyers but with Olivia. Her words guided him like a compass through a storm he knew he'd created. Downstairs, she watched from the side of the lobby, her arms folded. Rosa stood beside her, nervously holding a folded handkerchief. "You think he'll do it?" Rosa whispered. Olivia nodded slowly. "He has to." When Jack appeared at the top of the steps, the crowd surged forward. Microphones, flashes, questions slicing through the rain. He raised his hands and the noise fell away. For a moment, even the storm seemed to pause. "My name is Jack Monroe," he began, voice steady. "For years, I built companies, profits, towers, and lies. My family's wealth was born on the backs of workers who were invisible to us. I inherited that blindness, I profited from it, and I am done pretending I didn't know." The reporters went silent. He continued, his voice cracking now. "This morning I signed over half my shares in Monroe Holdings to fund the Maria Lincoln Foundation. Effective immediately, every underpaid employee, past and present, will be compensated in full. And from this day forward, no one will work unseen in my buildings again." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Cameras flashed. A reporter shouted, "Are you resigning?" Jack looked down at Olivia in the crowd, their eyes meeting through the chaos. "Yes," he said softly into the microphone. "I'm resigning as CEO because sometimes the only way to lead is to step aside." The air broke into noise, questions, disbelief, applause, but Olivia didn't move. She stood perfectly still, rain soaking her hair, her heart twisting between vindication and sorrow. When he came down the steps, the world seemed to tilt. Reporters shouted his name, but he walked straight to her. The rain blurred the distance between them, the noise dissolving into something quieter. "You did it," she said. He smiled, tired, peaceful. "No, we did. You just gave up everything." Jack shook his head. "No, I just found something worth keeping." For a moment, neither spoke. The storm softened around them, as if the sky itself was listening. He looked at her, eyes warm despite the cold. "You once asked if I'd still marry you if you cooked for me." Olivia smiled faintly. "And I asked if you could ever earn a meal." Jack took her hand, tentative, respectful, like asking permission from fate. "Maybe we both earned something today." She didn't answer with words, just held his gaze, steady, fierce, forgiving. Behind them, Rosa began to clap, and soon others joined. Employees, reporters, strangers, a spontaneous chorus rising from the wet concrete. The sound wasn't applause for power or wealth. It was for truth finally spoken aloud. Jack looked at Olivia one last time. "So what happens now?" She smiled, eyes glistening. "Now, we cook." He laughed, a real laugh this time, and together they walked back inside, leaving footprints that shimmered in the rain like ink rewriting a story. In the reflection of the glass doors, the photo of Maria Lincoln, now framed in the lobby, seemed to smile. Her daughter had finally finished the meal her mother began, and this time everyone was fed.